So Wind Archers are often known as the class that has too many buffs. Some people have problem with this. A new KMS patch was announced for giving a lot of quality of life changes to the different classes. For example, Luminous got a few buffs turned into passives, but Wind Archers did not receive any similar treatment. In total, Wind Archer have 7 buffs and 1 toggle skill. So let's take a look at that rotation. Okay, so I would start off with the toggle, Maple Warrior, and macro 1, macro 2. That's it. Okay. So because these buffs have no cooldowns, they can be put into macros. So instead of having 7 buff keys, you can essentially have 3. Here are the macros. Okay. So there is one little issue with Wind Archers is that this hyper skill Stormbringer, for some reason it doesn't get affected by buff duration. Which means that you have to buff every 200 seconds. With buff duration, you can consider putting it on a different key, but here's what I would do. The good thing about this buff is that it basically have no casting animation, and you can link it with Windwalk. So whenever you Windwalk, you would get this buff. So here's an example. Here is the macro, and when I Windwalk, I get to refresh the buff. And as a tip, when you macro Windwalk, it actually comes out slightly faster, so it's recommended for bossing and general gameplay. And as a Wind Archer, you Windwalk so much that you kind of just forget that it's there. Okay, so with this change, we can basically take out Stormbringer, and instead we can put in our Maple Warrior. And the good thing about Maple Warrior is that it basically has no casting animation as well. So our rotation now is we would just Windwalk once, toggle. We don't need Maple Warrior anymore. We just macro 1, macro 2. And that's it. So the pros about this change is that you don't have to buff every 200 seconds. With buff duration, you can enjoy basically buffing less. So let's talk about decent skills and link skills. So these are something that everyone needs to do. There's no way around it. So okay, I basically treat them as timers. So when they're off cooldown, I remind myself that maybe it's time that I need to buff. So the rotation becomes something like this. I do my decents, my link skill, my macro 1, macro 2, and then I just Windwalk when I'm playing the game. Then let's talk about pet auto buffs. Pet auto buffs is a quality of life change for basically anyone that have any buffs. So I have 2 right now. These are the 2 that I would use since they have slightly longer cast animation. So they're Sharp Eyes and Savant Aid. Keep in note that you need at least 2 buff auto buffs to get rid of 1 macro. So another thing to note that is when you're in a party, you have to manually cast Sharp Eyes. And so next, let's talk about a future KMS patch that allows us to put in decent skills and Mahowling skill to pets auto buff. So I would put in my decent skills as well as Mahow for these 3 spots rather than these 2 because decent skills aren't affected by buff duration and Mahowling skill is the duration of Mahowling skill is slightly off. In the new patch, Mahowling skill is going to be changed to 180 duration, but Wind Archer skills are 200 seconds. Okay, so now let's talk about a problem I have with Wind Archers. I feel that this class is a little bit too brain dead compared to other classes. When all we really need to do is hold down a button in place to deal damage. You can't even move during this animation. Well, you can slightly adjust and press, like spam this key, but generally you just hold down one attack. Other classes have different gimmicks such as Ho-Youngs to place summons and prep for burst, Shadowers to maintain coin stacks and weave-in missile explosions. Kadenas have many skills for rotations. Kaisers and Arc have transform gauges. Our only inconvenience is that we have to wait 5 seconds for our buffing animations to finish. But then we won't have to worry about anything for the next 3 to 5 minutes. You can argue that we have to manage our piercing point debuff, but that's also getting a buff in the future GMS patches. So overall, I think this class is fine as it is. Thank you for watching, and let me know your thoughts.